Session number 9. How I have said the statement, where there is a will, there is a wall. In other words, if you become willful and try to force something, try to make something happen, you'll create resistance. You'll end up no longer receiving the good you're wishing to experience because you're pushing against it. Your will is direction. Your will chooses the direction you want to go in, and then you must develop willingness, the ability to allow something to take place. That's attraction. That's demonstration. That's creation. That's creativity. That's manifestation. You're willing, you're allowing something to take place. Never ever try to use your will to make something happen. Just set the direction and begin to be aware that it's already happening. How to use the will. Bob Proctor is going to explain this in session 9.
You know, I was thinking that Wallace Wattles must have thought the will a very powerful mental faculty, because it's the only one that he is really focused on. We have perception, imagination, reason, intuition. None of those took up an entire segment of this material, and yet the will has taken up 2. Napoleon said, "I see only the objective, the obstacle must give way." One of his biographers said that he had immense capacity for sustained concentration. What they were really saying is, Napoleon had a very highly evolved will. To set about getting rich in a certain way, you do not need to try to apply your willpower to anything outside of yourself. You have no right to do so anyway. It is wrong to apply your will to other men and women in order to get them to do what you wish done. It is as flagrantly wrong to coerce people by mental power as it is to coerce them by physical power. If compelling people by physical force to do things for you reduces them to slavery, compelling them by mental means accomplishes exactly the same thing. The only difference is in the methods. If taking things from people by physical force is robbery, then taking things by mental force is also robbery. In principle, there is no difference. You have no right to use your willpower on another person, even for his own good, because you do not know what is for his good. The science of getting rich does not require you to apply power or force to any other person in any way whatsoever. All the way through The Secret, Rhonda Byrne has beautifully demonstrated that it wasn't willpower, it was attraction that brought the good into every one of those people's lives. There's not the slightest necessity for applying your will to other people. Indeed, any attempt to use your will upon others will only tend to defeat your purpose. You do not need to apply your will to things for them to come to you. That would be simply trying to coerce God and would be foolish and useless as well as irreverent. You do not have to compel God to give you good things any more than you have to use your willpower to make the sun rise. You do not have to use your willpower to conquer an unfriendly deity or to make stubborn and rebellious forces do your bidding. The thinking substance is friendly to you and is more anxious to give you what you want than you are to get it. To get rich, you need only use your willpower upon yourself. As I share that with you, my mind flipped right back to when I first picked up a book containing this kind of information. And I think prior to that of how hard I worked, how I tried, how I put in long hours trying to win. But unfortunately, I was working against the law, and nothing worked. I kept losing. I'd take 1 step ahead and 2 backwards. And then, when I started to use this information, everything started to flow, and without effort. Napoleon Hill pointed out in his book, he said, when riches begin to come, they will come so fast and furious, you're going to wonder where they've been hiding through all those lean years. He could have said, when you move in harmony with the law, riches are going to come fast and furious, because that's exactly what Wallace Wattles is sharing with us. When you know what to think and do, you must use your will to compel yourself to think and do the right things. That is the legitimate use of the will in getting what you want. To use it in holding yourself to the right course. Use your willpower to keep yourself thinking and acting in the certain way. If the Secret Science of Getting Rich program is a new concept to your way of thinking, you have probably not formed the habit of thinking this way yet. The habitual way you have been thinking has been delivering the results that you've been getting in the past. Now you're learning a whole new way of thinking. As you've gone through the various sessions, new ideas are building on old ideas and more ideas building on these ideas, and you're developing a brand new way of thinking. But the odds are pretty good you have not formed the habit of thinking this way. This is where you use your will to get into the habit of using this program on a daily basis. You might pick a particular time every day to begin using the program. I would recommend maybe first thing in the morning. And begin listening to it day after day. Take the text and read the text. And you're going to find you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be in the habit of thinking this way. And you're going to be in the habit of thinking this way because you've used your will to discipline yourself to begin thinking in a different way, thinking in a certain way. Do not try to project your will or your thoughts or your mind out into space to act on things or people. Keep your mind at home. It can accomplish more there than anywhere. Use your mind to form a mental image of what you want and to hold that vision with faith and purpose. Use your will to keep your mind working the right way. The more steady and continuous your faith and purpose, the more rapidly you will get rich because you will make only positive impressions upon formless substance. You will not neutralize or offset them by negative impressions. The formless substance receives a picture of your desires and allows this picture to penetrate to great distances, perhaps throughout the entire universe. As this impression spreads, all things are set moving toward its realization. Every living thing, every inanimate thing, and the things yet uncreated are stirred toward bringing it into being that which you want. All force begins to be exerted in that direction. All things begin to move toward you. The minds of people everywhere are influenced toward doing the things necessary to fulfill your desires, and they work for you unconsciously. But you can check all this by starting a negative impression in the formless substance. Doubt or unbelief is as certain to start a movement away from you as faith and purpose are to start one toward you. By not understanding this, most people fail when they try to make use of the mental science to get rich. Every hour and moment you spend in giving heed to doubts and fears, every hour you spend in worry, every hour in which your soul is possessed by unbelief, sets a current away from you through the whole domain of the intelligent substance. All the promises are unto them that believe, and unto them only. Notice how insistent Jesus was upon this point of belief. Now you know the reason why. Since belief is all important, it behooves you to guard your thoughts. And as your beliefs will be shaped to a very great extent by the things you observe and think about, it is important that you focus your attention. Here the will comes into use, because by means of your will you determine the objects of your attention. If you want to become rich, you must not make a study of poverty. Things are not brought into being by thinking about their opposites. Health is never to be attained by studying disease and thinking about disease. Righteousness is not to be promoted by studying sin and thinking about sin. And no one ever got rich by studying poverty and thinking about poverty. Medicine, as a science of disease, has increased disease. Religion as a science of sin has promoted sin, and economics as a study of poverty will fill the world with wretchedness and want. Do not talk about poverty. Do not investigate it or concern yourself with it. Never mind what its causes are. You have nothing to do with them. What concerns you is the cure. Do not spend your time in charitable work or charity movements. All charity only tends to perpetuate the wretchedness it aims to eradicate. Now, I have to digress here for a moment from Wallace Wattles' thoughts and his writings because I don't necessarily agree with what I've just shared with you. I think possibly when he wrote this, there may have been some truth to what he's saying. But today, I don't buy into it the same way. I do agree with him when it comes to giving to some charitable organization where 85 to 90% of all the money that's brought in is spent out on administration. There's a lot of people getting rich from charity. I support various charitable organizations. I support ones where the money goes to do the good that it's meant to do, to help people raise themselves up out of the way of thinking that they're in and the way of life that they're in. I think that is a decision you have to make on your own. Now come back to what Wallace Wattles said. He said, I don't say that you should be hard-hearted or unkind and refuse to hear the cry of need, but you must not try to eradicate poverty in any of the conventional ways. Put poverty behind you, put all that pertains to it behind you, and make good. You cannot hold the mental image which is necessary to make you rich if you fill your mind with pictures of poverty. Do not read books or papers which give accounts of the wretchedness of the tenement dwellers or the horrors of child labor. Do not read of anything which fills your mind with gloomy images of want and suffering. You cannot help the poor in the least by knowing about these things. The widespread knowledge of the circumstances of the poor does not tend at all to do away with poverty. What tends to do away with poverty is not the getting of pictures of poverty in your mind, but getting pictures of wealth into the minds of the poor. You are not deserting the poor in their misery when you refuse to allow your mind to be filled with pictures of that misery. Poverty can be done away with not by increasing the number of well-to-do people who think about poverty, but by increasing the number of poor people who succeed in getting rich through the exercise of faith and purpose. Do you know, I know the lady that created the movie The Secret, and I can tell you from personal experience that is her main desire. She wants to see everyone that's struggling live a good life. She wants to see people move on to the right road to a bright future. That's what the sole purpose of this program is. As you get into the secret science of getting rich, we want to encourage you to share this with others. Help them learn all this beautiful information and then apply it in their life. To go back to Wallace Wattles' writing, he said the poor do not need charity, they need inspiration. Charity only sends them a loaf of bread to keep them alive in their wretchedness or gives them an entertainment to make them forget for an hour or two. But inspiration will cause them to rise out of their misery. If you want to help the poor, demonstrate to them that they can become rich. Prove it by getting rich yourself. Get rich. This is the best way that you can help the poor. The only way in which poverty will ever be banished from this world is by getting a large and constantly increasing number of people to practice the teachings of this particular program. And you know, that's exactly what The Secret's doing. The Secret movie is a phenomena. There's never been a cent spent on advertising, and it's sweeping the globe. Everyone's talking about it. And you know something? I think the time is right. It's time everybody did talk about it. Wattles said people must be taught to become rich by creation and not by competition. He went on to say that every person who becomes rich by competition kicks down the ladder by which he or she rises and keeps others down. But the person who gets rich by creation opens a way for thousands to follow and inspires them to do so. You are not showing hardness of heart or an unfeeling disposition when you refuse to pity poverty or to think or talk about it or to listen to those who do talk about it. Use your willpower to keep your mind off the subject of poverty and keep your mind fixed with faith and purpose on the vision of what you want. I want to make certain that as many people in the world get this program as we can reach, and I want you to help us. I honestly believe that the secret science of getting rich will transform the thinking of everyone it comes in contact with. And using the will is how we get ourselves to move in the direction we want to move. All right, now let's take a look at the questions and suggestions for this particular session. Here's one for you. Tell in your own language why you have no right to apply your willpower to others. You know, we're constantly trying to do that. We're always worried about what people think as well. I like Terry Whitaker's book, and the title of the book is What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. Good advice. Well, we're suggesting here that you tell in your own language why you have no right to apply your willpower to other people. Let's quit trying to change the world. Let's quit worrying about what they think. Let's work on ourselves. And that's what the will is for. The second, can you compel the things you want to come to you by exerting willpower? If not, why not? Now here's the third one. Explain how positive and negative impressions are made on the formless substance. And last but not least, what should your attitude be toward poverty? Now that you've answered those questions, let's go into the exercises for this particular session. The first exercise begins with a suggestion from Wallace Wattles. He said, every person who becomes rich by competition kicks down the ladder by which he rises and keeps others down. But every person who gets rich by creation opens a way for thousands to follow him and inspires them to do so. Now, what we want to suggest is that you name 6 creative income-earning opportunities that you have been made aware of in the past year. Now, think of what I'm saying. I want you to take a pen and a pad and write down 6 creative income-earning opportunities that you have been made aware of in the last year. Now, when you have those income opportunities written down, I want you to think of this. The will is the intellectual factor that gives you the ability to hold one image on the screen of your mind. When you hold your will to hold an image in your consciousness, you are at that time rejecting any and all mental distractions. I want to suggest that in 50 words or less, you make a written description of the image of wealth that you will practice holding in your consciousness every day until it is a real part of your being. Now, you could easily pass over this exercise. I want to recommend that you don't. Take the time to sit down and in 50 words or less, make a written description of the image of wealth that you will practice holding in your consciousness every day until it is a real part of your being. This is a great lesson, isn't it? And you know, the next lesson, we're going to talk about further use of the will. You're going to learn to love it. This is Bob Proctor, and thank you.
Hello, this is Jack Canfield. The great English writer Aldous Huxley gave us some valuable information when he said, "The only corner of the universe you can be certain of improving is your own self." How very true. And yet I find it strange and sad that such a large mass of individuals are out there in life trying to win by attempting to exert their will on others. Wattles makes it very clear in this session when he says, "The science of getting rich does not require you to apply power or force to any other person, in any way whatsoever. Indeed, any attempt to use your will upon others will only tend to defeat your purpose." In other words, when you're trying to exert your will over others, you'll never get what you want. You know, I found from my personal experience that the proper use of the will enables you to keep your mind focused where it should be focused. And that is on what you're doing for others, not what you're expecting others to do for you. That absolute focus is an absolute key to success. In fact, a number of years ago, I wrote a book with Mark Victor Hansen and Les Hewitt on this single subject, and we titled it The Power of Focus. And if it's not in your library, I would suggest you get a copy and read it. You see, the world, and everything and everyone in it, has a tendency to keep its conscious attention jumping from one idea or activity to another. The average individual has an absolute array of unrelated subjects flying across the screen of his mind, the likes of which you'd have difficulty finding anywhere outside of a common encyclopedia. Now that's a lot of stuff. There's no focus, no direction, no stimulated, controlled thinking going on at all. As Waddell said, use your mind to form a mental image of what you want. Hold that vision with faith and purpose. Then use your will to keep your mind working the right way. The more steady and continuous your faith and purpose, the more rapidly you will get rich, because you will only make positive impressions upon formless substance. Now that's the right application of your will. But I'll tell you, it takes some work to develop that level of concentration. Try a little experiment at the end of this lesson. Close your eyes and slowly count to 10 without having any other thought. Now I know it sounds easy, but go ahead and try it. When I was first given this challenge by one of my teachers, it went something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this is a piece of cake. This is easy. Oh no, that was a thought. Okay, start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, good, I got past 4 that time. Oh no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who was that coughing? Oh no. 1, 2, 3, 4. My lower back hurts. Hey, this isn't as easy as I thought. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I feed the cat this morning? You know, I did this for 10 minutes and I never got to 10. I later learned that people who practice Zen meditation spend years sometimes before they can achieve this. Now imagine applying this to your dreams. It might sound something like this. I want to live in a 6,000 square foot house on the ocean. How am I ever going to afford that? I can hardly afford to pay the rent on this apartment. Who am I kidding? I can hardly pay all of my bills, and why is my phone bill so high this month? Wish my wife wouldn't call her mother in Texas so often. Doesn't she realize we can't afford that? Maybe we should enroll for an internet online phone service, then we could use the computer and all of our calls would be free. That's a good idea. I should have thought of that sooner. I'll do that this afternoon. Hey, wait. I'm supposed to be visualizing my dream house. Okay, let's focus. Let's picture that on the ocean. 6,000 square feet, great stereo system. I can listen to all my music. You know, I should get an MP3 player. That'd really be great. Oh, no, wait. Back to the house. And so it goes in the beginning. But with time, you will learn to focus. But it's like developing a muscle. It takes constant work, over time, consistently every day. But I promise you, you will get good at it. Bob did, Michael did, I did, thousands of people have, and so can you. And the better you get at it, the faster your desires will manifest. The more rapidly you will see results. And there's another benefit as well. You will become more centered and more relaxed. You'll become more optimistic and more certain, more at peace with your ability to create whatever you want. So give special attention to this lesson. Listen to it a number of times. And then I encourage you to get honest with yourself. Stand back and look